Welcome, wonderful and appreciated being. Thank you very much for your presence. I would like to share another word, and I think some needed more explanation or further insights to releasing of the ancestral intertwinings. First, before I go further into it, I think the only way we can really get a sense of its understanding, what this calling is all about, I think we have to go into our heart and feel the resonance of it. So I invite you to take a deep breath and center into your heart. And then feel with your heart what this calling, or if this calling is resonating with you, release of ancestral intertwinings. Why the releasing? First of all, I think for us to understand what this calling is all about, we need to know of the future and what the future is going to be. The future is dancing lightness. The future is light. The future is love. But the most important thing is really the dancing lightness. And in order for us to grow into this dancing lightness, we need to release everything that's of heaviness. We need to release anything, everything, so we can be and we can live our true I am, our complete I am presence. And in order for us to live our true I am and be in our true I am presence, we need to be released of anything and everything. And just one little explanation. In this, I would say, I'm calling it this test of ego that we have failed to come through in a huge way. In this test of ego, we have gone through wars, we have gone through plagues, we have gone through many experiences that we now need to release. Of course, there is a lot of wisdom that we have from our ancestors. But it's not only the wisdom of our ancestors, it's also our own wisdom. And it is very important that we can grow to our own wisdom. And this is our I am. It's part of our I am. And this is why we need to release the ancestral intertwinings. Now imagine, or for example, it's very comparable to the whales that are getting entangled and they have this whole net gear swimming with them, and if they're not going to get released, they're going to die. And imagine yourself having a huge net behind you, all with knots, and you know, when there is a net, you also take along a lot of garbage and all these knots. And these knots really stop us or slow us down in our movement to grow into paradise, to grow into the new, to grow into the freedom, to grow into the dancing lightness. And that's why we need to release it. And the good part about this whole thing is when we release the intertwinings and all these ancestral lines, the ancestors, of course, are included when we do this work. So they also come into a dancing lightness. And if all the souls that are still in this reincarnational progress or process, and in this, I mean, it's not only talking about Earth or in relation to Earth, it's really talking about in a universal scale the impact of the released souls to other planets. Maybe they even are on other planets, or maybe they are on other planets and will be coming back on this planet. So in the huge universal scale and beyond, this work that we do to release these intertwinings makes an impact on the whole, way beyond of what we might be able to think at the moment. So I invite you to really sense into it, but with your heart, whether or not you feel this calling already, or if you have a resonance to this calling, and then join in or do it in any way you can. And when you join in into our circles, I call it the new knowledge circles, and particularly in this one, releasing of the ancestral intertwinings, we will always give room at the beginning to ask questions and to interact with each other before we dive into a releasing journey. I think something else needs to be said here. Right now, I feel this is calling us very strongly. As of right now, it's October 30th, 2022. It asks me to do this, I think, until about March, until we move on into the next. This is what I'm getting at the moment, but it always depends how we move on, how our humanity moves on, and how our planet moves on. But right now I get a feeling to do this until March. I embody the new, so that means we will be moving on. So whoever is in the boat now will be moving on as soon as we're enough, or as soon as I get the call to do the next thing. However, I really, really invite you to feel into this, to feel the freedom of all these souls, to feel the dancing lightness of all this, or after all this work, or the longing, maybe even your longing to do this. And I think it's just, for me, I feel a huge freedom coming in. And that includes the honoring of our ancestors. That includes their path, what we have done. But one thing is very important. Your soul, listening to this right now, is probably one of these ancestors. So you honor yourself. And you honor the ancestral lines and intertwinings and yourself and your ancestors by doing this work. So once again, I would like to share or go into a little honoring of the ancestors and our own path with my flute. And it's the double flute, so it's more than one. Enjoy. My flute and I were so powerful that the technical equipment was a little bit at the edge. So I guess our ancestors wanted an environment like this, a little more romantic. So my play for them is being recorded again, and I wish you an enjoyable time. Calling in your ancestors and maybe honoring them, honoring yourself. More flute playing will be, of course, included in our journeyings, always on Thursdays. On first Thursday, sorry for that, first and third Thursday of the month, until further notice. Thank you once again for your presence. Thank you once again for you to be on your path. Thank you for being you. Aloha. With lots of love, lots of light, and a lot of gratitude.